pain is inevitable, suffering optional.
Exactly.
If we welcome that in and we embrace that and we feel it and we try to learn from it, the pain goes away. I think people don't realize how much pain is actually down there for them, and they're just carrying this weight around. What I call this is the invisible burden. Just because you don't want to see it, it doesn't mean that it's not still affecting you in your life.
Acting on emotions as guides to truth. Stillness. Surrendering to what is. Seeking. Using my gifts with purpose. Light. This is the emotional blueprint.
Yeah, let's kick this one off by talking a little bit about the impact that this podcast has had on us individually so far. I'll start. Being a therapist for the last 10 years, I had this revelation this last week that it was kind of like, I had this revelation that my whole life I put a lot into my job. When I show up at work, like I make sure I'm like doing my spiritual time and like sleeping good and like putting a lot, sometimes too much. Cause then when I get home, like it's sometimes hard to like, I don't know. I need to, maybe my wife takes a backseat to that sometimes, and she's been really supportive and amazing. But I've realized that I've like lost myself in other people's stories for like the last 10 years, that as a result, I have like forgotten my own story. And the reason why this came up is because it's like, I know that I have been learning all this wisdom and these beautiful things from so many people, and like these like secrets of life, like we've been talking about and with together. And it's like, I should be so full of joy, but I'm not. And it was like this. And so this podcast has been just so impactful for me because it's helped me to remember my own story. And it's like what we've been talking about, how like in my life and in your life, there's been quite a bit of pain, and we, for the most part, have emptied out that entire hole. But it doesn't just automatically mean that we have joy in our life. Like we have to intentionally fill it with living our life the right way, just awesome experiences, gratitude, like still work, And so it's been changing me a lot, just doing this once a week and helping me. It's kind of, for me, it feels like life-changing so far for me personally, in what it's kind of doing for me. And so the question is like, I just think it's so cool to start off talking about like, what has this kind of done for you so far?
That's so
Ernest and Dane.
That's so cool that you say that you, like, if I understand right, you're feeling the fulfillment, you're filling the hole with something, a place that you didn't realize you could, or that you noticed was a place where you could fill more, and you're getting the benefits from that. And I was thinking the exact same thing, similar actually, about my story. And for me, it's been like, just due to the nature of the way my life has gone, I feel like there's so many people who have come into my life and left, or been a part of my life for a short amount of time and then a big span of time where there weren't. And that includes family and friends and everybody. And I feel like a lot of people have missed a lot of my life and my story. And I feel like it's a really big opportunity for me to put it all out there so they can know who I really am.
If they want to see you.
If you want to know where I've been,
it's like
and what I've been doing.
It's pretty accessible.
Right. And I've noticed that those people.
That's kind of cool, actually.
Yeah. That they've been like asking me, like, hey, are the episodes up? Like, can I get the link? Like, a lot of them want to know what I've been up to, what's happened. They just don't have like the time or the money to travel and do it in person. So it's really cool to be able to say, hey, like, this is me. You want to know?
Yeah, that's our real motivation for doing this podcast, is to show our haters that we're a lot cooler and deeper than we actually really are.
Haters or people who couldn't support enough.
No,
and they wanted
it's
to,
kind of,
Totally.
I'm obviously kidding. I'm obviously kidding. But for you, it's about connection. Like I know you, and you just care so deeply about your family, and I think what gives you a lot of peace in your life, and what's going to give you more peace, is you have taken your relationships as far as you can take them. And it's up to the other person to meet you in the middle. And it's like, hey, I just want to make it really easy for you to like connect and meet me in the middle. And so that's what this kind of has meant for you.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
Mm-hmm.
It's a cool way to view it. Dane, what about you, man? Because me and you have been the ones here for every single one. We're on 22 so far.
That's crazy. Yeah, it's been really special for me, man. It's been cool to see the depth with which like people take their like self-care seriously, particularly just your preparation, Corey, on these podcasts, and how seriously you've taken each and every episode and have been so caring about the subject matter and the content, to the point where you're like doing deep dives and studies. And I can tell that's showing through on each episode. So I guess
I appreciate that, man.
What it's done for me is it's helped me try to mirror that a little bit more, just in my personal life, just by, like taking more intentional time to just reflect on how I'm doing spiritually and just take inventory.
Well, it's about time that I return some of the good example, because you've been my brother, man, for 15 years.
Indeed.
And we don't have time today to talk about all the good examples that you've been, all the funny stories. Like, Corey, you probably shouldn't do that. Corey, you should probably chill or take it easy. So I love you, man. Thanks for that.
Corey, you probably shouldn't put me in danger.
That's basically what it is. So we normally kind of save some bonus questions for the end. We're going to do that right at the beginning. These are questions that people have had that we want to give back and answer some of these. And I've hand selected some of these that I just kind of felt were particularly important. This one was, I thought, interesting. Some of these are going to be random, and it'll kind of lead into some cool conversation today. But this one's just pretty direct. Why do some people want enemies in their life? Example, like this could be a spouse that they are always complaining about, or a relationship that they know is wrong for them, but it's turned into like an enemy, or a past relationship that they still talk about and bring up. I see this a lot in therapy. I'm like, why are they still talking about this person?
Haven't seen him in
from
10
years ago.
Yeah.
And this person was a horrible human being, their ex-boyfriend, ex-girlfriend.
And they still are like their arch nemesis to this day, even, kind of a thing.
Yeah. Some people want enemies in their life. And the question that someone had asked is why?
One of the things that comes just through my own perspective, my own lens, like one of the things that comes to my mind is that it's so much easier to point a finger away from yourself.
I think if there is a right answer, that has got to be it. Seriously though, think about it. Like, if I have an enemy in my life, then if something doesn't go wrong, if I don't like something that happens, I have somewhere to put the blame.
Yeah. The superstitious ghost bad thing in your life that you can just keep blaming, and it's never your fault. It's a tough thing to have to deal with too. Being stuck in that mindset.
Oh yeah, because we believe it 100%. We believe it so much too that we justify immoral and crazy behavior because this person has ruined my life.
Yep.
So I can slash their tires or point a gun at them or just whatever. And I obviously can't help but think of politics in this situation either. The enemy of the Republicans or the Democrats and vice versa. And all the crazy behavior that sometimes goes with some of these extreme views, they justify it, like blowing up cars, like whatever, all the crazy stuff. They justify it because it's the cause of all of the my personal issues, and all the issues in the world is because of the Democrats or because of the Republicans.
I have like a question about that question, if that's okay. Like how does the person creating the rationality, like the rationales behind what they're doing, how do they view that? Are they aware that they're rationales? Like, are they aware that that's just BS for a reason why they're doing whatever they're doing? Or are they unaware? And like you said, it's because like that's their perspective.
I think beliefs that take root are really powerful.
Right.
Very underestimated, like deep-seated beliefs. Because like somebody doesn't just do this on a whim because they had one thought come in, for 5 seconds. These are years. And so people live and die by what they believe.
Right.
Right or wrong, I don't even care. This is just like, I don't think that's everybody.
Right.
It takes it's kind of like what we've been talking about. For someone to really challenge their beliefs, they have to go through certain suffering in their life. And there's many opportunities that God or nature will try to like point out an error or to get them to change. And, we have thousands of moments that we can listen to that or not.
Yeah.
And a lot of people don't, which is sad. It's sad because the suffering you are creating on your own. The obviously the truth is it's not your enemy. It's not the Republicans. It's not the Democrats. It's you. You are in control of your own suffering.
Yeah.
We create that. I love what they talk about in Buddhism. Pain is inevitable. Suffering optional.
Exactly. Yeah.
What a beautiful teaching.
I was kind of thinking about, this is kind of getting off topic now from the question, but I was thinking about that, just how we will relive, if we don't suffer the right way, or if we don't feel the pain the right way, we can just relive it over and over again without resolution and just hurt ourselves.
Well, and that's what suffering is. Suffering is the same pain that occurs over and over and over again. Like pain. So we're talking about emotional pain. I got really hurt in this relationship, or I feel sad about this, or a loss. It's like, that's really painful. But if we, like what we've been talking about on this podcast, if we welcome that in and we embrace that and we feel it and we try to learn from it, the pain goes away. So there's an end to pain.
A resolution.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But with suffering, it's the resistance of pain. Oh, I feel sad or hurt by this person. And I, maybe the enemy, the psychology of the enemy is the pain doesn't go away. It just
perpetuates, right?
Yeah.
So
and
I guess
it leads to other.
So it's people that make enemies are not able to resolve their inner pain. Is that why they're making enemies?
I don't even think they're aware of that. They might not even be aware of the pain,
Yeah.
I think it's tough to make absolute because there's just the range.
Too many variables.
Yeah.
Different people.
Yeah. But I do think that the belief is powerful. I think Satan or the ego tries to get in there right away and say, this really is the other person's fault. And don't get me wrong, people can hurt us, but then it's our responsibility at that point. Do I want to heal from this, or do I want to hold on to this? This is an interesting segue into just forgiveness, how people feel like I have to hold on to, I want to let go of this pain. I know it's there. Someone just hurt me, but I can't let go of it because I can't let them off the hook.
Yeah.
I can't let them get away with this. I have to hold on to this pain. And it's like, if you drink poison, is that going to affect the other person?
He's not going to keel over.
No, the pain is poison within.
Yeah.
If it's not resolved, it starts to poison us. So like, I get that, but that's, forgiveness. A way better word, I think, for forgiveness sometimes is letting go. You're right. This other person might not deserve for you to forgive them, but you deserve it.
You deserve the results.
You deserve the relief. Like you've just been hurt. That's sad. It's so painful. Like you deserve to have relief.
Yeah.
So the way that God has it set up, or the natural laws of nature or whatever, is that if we want to feel relieved of pain, we have to forgive other people. It's just a part of the healing journey. Think about it. Where would you be at emotionally in your life? Where would I be at if we believed every truth that ever was out there, except we just refused to forgive people?
Just wouldn't let things go. I would be a raging ball of destruction. I guarantee it.
I would be my 18-year-old dark self.
I would be so emo and so angry. That
isn't showering and putting deodorant all over their body. Yeah, dude. So,
wow, that's such a cool thought. What if you didn't let it go?
Yeah. And Dane, should we quote what we quote every podcast? The Joseph Campbell quote. This is why what Joseph Campbell says has so much relevance, why we share it every time. It's like, you choose to respond to the call of feeling emotion and respond to it, then the angels support you. The ageless guardians appear. Mother Nature supports you. You ride on the rhythm of the historical process. Mm-hmm. But if you don't, you're looking out your window and there used to be flowers there, and now it's a wasteland of dry stones. There really is only two paths in the healing journey. And then the journey of a hero, there's only two paths. There's many different ways to get there but am I going to choose to accept what happens to me in my life and how I feel and learn from that? Or am I going to not to? Am I going to choose not to? It's just so, I get it. I get that for people. It's not that black and white in their own world and frame, but that really is the reality. And we'll talk about some more of that, I'm sure. But yeah, we've only gotten through one question.
Yeah, I was going to say, what else we got?
Last thought on that. Another cool Buddhist saying is, in Buddhism, they're big on an enemy can be your greatest teacher. Mm-hmm. I think that kind of validates what we're saying. These are not connected at all. These are random questions that people had. It seems like, so question number 2, it seems like some things can be harder in long-term relationships compared to short-term relationships. Why is that?
Some things.
It seems like some things can be harder. Basically, I think the question is like, it seems like long-term relationships are harder compared to short-term relationships. Why is that?
I think that the ramifications are bigger. If you communicate poorly for 2 weeks, it's not going to affect you that much. You communicate poorly for 6 months, it might hurt you. I've noticed in my own life many times that over time, certain things are more challenging because of that, because there could be repeated offenses. There could be a lack of awareness on what you need and a lack of communication about those things. And it could cause long-term effects on you. And you don't really get to see those in the short term. And I think that's where some people who know that would rather be in those short-term relationships so they don't have to deal with the higher requirements that a long-term relationship might need or have.
What you're saying, man, is really pointing to like a pretty cool, deeper truth. Mm-hmm. It reminds me of this really cool, deeper truth, which is when we are first in a relationship, we've talked about this before in the podcast. It's kind of like the honeymoon phase. Like there is a very real romance and just no one understands how this works exactly, but it's like a magical experience and it fills every problem and hole that we have in our entire soul. Mm-hmm. And so it's awesome. It's supposed to be that way.
Yeah.
And then what happens next after that fades, that feeling does fade, then it's the disappointment phase, like we've talked about. It reminds me of combining what me and Dane talked about a couple podcasts ago, which is like when you are so to go back to the question, why are long-term relationships harder compared to short-term? My immediate thought on that is because long-term relationships, your partner becomes a mirror.
We've talked about that.
That's why it gets harder. You're not just in a relationship with someone else like you are at the beginning. You are in a relationship with yourself. And you're seeing yourself, whether you want to or not.
That has started to hit me more and more. I like understanding the mirror, because it's like, how does that work? And it's like, well, when you say something out of emotion that you didn't mean to say, the other person is a beautiful mirror to show you how mean that was, or how you really shouldn't have said that, or how even something so small could really affect somebody else. It's like, that's what I understand from that mirror thing, is you get a real tangible example of just a blank canvas of, if you throw that onto that, how do they react? How do they feel? How would that make someone be over time? It's a really tough thing to see and deal with sometimes, because it's forced accountability in some cases. You're like, dang, I have to take responsibility for that.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
That's hard.
And so when people are fighting against that, they're really fighting against themselves. Not always, but often they're fighting against internal change.
Mm-hmm.
With the exception of abuse and your partner hurting you and things like that.
Yeah.
So that's why it goes back to like, what's the most important quality for me to look for in a relationship? You really, really want to know if someone is genuine in wanting to change. Why? Because if you want a long-term relationship with them, that's the greatest predictor on how they're going to respond when they start seeing themselves in you. And it's so funny, man. I know this.
Yeah.
And in my own marriage, sometimes I don't want it to be about me.
Yeah.
But it's always about me.
It's frustrating too.
And exactly. It's like, oh, me again?
Yeah.
Oh, my own imbalance again? My own lack of understanding again? Jeez. Okay. Here we go. So it's hard. When people say it's hard work, it really is, because it again, long-term relationships become a mirror. We've all experienced that, I think. Dane especially. I'm just kidding. And with this, so what's harder even with kids is your kids become mirrors. Kids especially, because kids are more pure. This is what me and Dane were talking about. The more pure, is that even a word? The more pure something is, the clearer the mirror.
Yeah.
Nature, God, children.
The more pure, the clearer the mirror.
Man, I've never had so much clarity. Okay, question number 3.
Let's do it.
Man, we just might have to do a podcast with all questions. This is cool. You talked about how our spirit is already whole in the last podcast. So I was talking about how our spirit is whole. It's already whole. Our spirit is already made up of wholeness and purity. So you talked about how your spirit is already whole in the last podcast. What is the purpose of working on ourselves if we already are whole deep down? It's a really good question.
Well, that's like what good is the fruit of a tree that never grew, right? Because your goodness is a seed that's inside of you, but what is the purpose of when God speaks of being a lighthouse or a light on the hill or building your light internally and becoming or holding the lantern out in front of you? Like, what are those things? There is some aspect of line upon line, precept upon precept, where you're growing something that's already there inside of you, and you're making that more big, more clear, resonate more from inside out. I think that's kind of the point, right?
Yeah. It reminds me of, this is what I shared on the last podcast of like, yes, our spirit is whole and it is pure. That is just like a universal truth. And if you have a hard time accepting that or just try to find a way to I've just experienced the truth of that and I've seen that in others. Anyways, it's an experience thing. But what's always made sense to me is like, yes, it's whole and pure, but it's not completely bright and full of light. It is full of light. It is made up of light, but it's got so much more brightness and truth and light to remember and to integrate. And it reminds me of gold. I love this. Like, our spirit is like gold. Mm-hmm. Gold is pure. and but it's very sensitive and soft. So for gold to be stronger, it has to be mixed with impurity.
Yeah.
It has to be mixed with impure metals. And then it doesn't lose its purity. It stays gold, doesn't change its nature, but it becomes stronger. And so it's like this, our spirit is pure and it has to be integrated. I feel like life is a process of learning how to integrate our pure soul in with this impure state of the world and our body and thoughts and all this stuff.
Totally. We refine ourselves, right, by choice. So it's kind of like saying that like your spirit is the slab of marble and you are the one carving the shape.
Yeah.
But I really like what you're saying with the idea of like becoming stronger. Like it's already a pure substance. It's just how resilient to certain situations or settings or, under what circumstances, and you get to test your mettle on that.
Well, and why did I choose this question? Why is this even worth talking about? It's because if you know deep down, if you have an experience, and this is what I talked about on the last podcast, is actually how to have an experience where you can feel your spirit and start to know its nature. If you know that you're already whole, then you don't have to like hate yourself forward. Yeah. You don't have to some people feel shame and they feel like they're the worst. They have a hard time letting go of that sometimes because they believe they need it to motivate them.
Yeah. Wrong fuel.
Wrong fuel. Yep. It works for a little bit. I described it like you're starting off a hike, 100-mile hike with two people, same body, same muscle mass. You have 100-pound backpack and they only have 10 pounds in their backpack. You might be more motivated, like, oh, I have a heavier backpack. Like I'm going to beat them. I'm going to just hit it so hard. It's like, cool. You might outpace them on the first couple miles maybe, but eventually
inevitably
you're going to wear down. And this 10-mile backpacker, which is the healthy version, the emotionally and spiritually in tune version of yourself it's not even close. Not even close. It's like the deception of the ego or the deception of Satan is that you need to hold on to negativity, shame, anxiety. It's going to help. Yeah. You can use it for your good. And it's like, there's some truth to that. You can use it for your good, but not in that way. Yeah.
Yeah.
This one is a lot more wide open. So I'll maybe just share a quick thought on this as we move forward. The other question that someone had was, what is the purpose of life? The reason I chose this is when I was selected, I could just feel the sincerity behind this question, whoever was asking this. And what I want to say is people talk a lot about, and this has been a revelation for me lately, people talk a lot about like seeking meaning in life, which I'm obviously a big fan of. I don't know if like on a relatable level though, I don't know how much people are necessarily seeking meaning. Certainly some people are, but more on a relatable level, I think people are wanting to feel alive in their life, wanting to feel really connected and have these moments where they just feel alive. And that, I believe, is a more relatable way to kind of say, what is the purpose of life? It's to feel alive. And a really important way how we do that is we clean our own house first. We work on ourselves so that we can still feel alive through the process and through the journey for sure. But that's like the biggest thing that stuck out is like feeling alive. And yeah, I just like that because we talk so much about, okay, you got to do this first, and then you find this, and then you can let go. And then it's like, you can still find a lot of purpose and meaning in your life, even though you're not there, because I had this moment it was Saturday. It was this last weekend where I'm just at my house, and it was a pretty busy day, and there's a lot of stuff going on, cleaning and whatever. But I'm laying in bed, just resting, and my daughter is there, and she's like snuggling next to me. And I just put up my finger, and then she puts up her finger, and we just like touch fingers. And we just like
E.T.
we put our hands together. I like kiss her on the cheek a little bit, and we're just chit chatting. And it's like, that was the highlight of my weekend. And it was 30 seconds long, so I had to be in a place of stillness. I had to be not thinking about other stuff, but ideally we have these moments of aliveness that last longer than that. But there's those little minis.
Yeah,
like that was
those are
really special for me.
Thanks for sharing that. I think of any moment that I feel something like that is a moment where I'm able to be present or to connect while being present. And I think that there's so much to this life it's as if we're looking for the unseen all the time as we go through life. And it's how
it's like right in front of us.
How intentional can you be looking for the things that aren't seen? Because that's where the real wealth of life is. And that's like really, when you get tastes of that and those experiences like that, it's like, I didn't get any money. I didn't watch a movie. I didn't play a game. I didn't feed myself with delicious food.
I didn't ride a roller coaster.
Yeah, I was just here sitting with my daughter, and I felt alive. And that's the unseen. Like, that's the stuff.
Yep. It's like the touch of heaven in many ways. I love what you said, man, of just like this, again, the ego and Satan is producing so many of these thoughts. Like, tomorrow I'm going to be happy, or, I'm looking forward to things. Oh, when summer rolls around, when the weather gets nicer, then I can actually be,
as long as this
people
doesn't
actually
happen to
believe
me,
this stuff.
I'll be happy. It's like, what?
I'm convinced that in Utah, okay, the winters can be long and we're just springtime. So everyone's happy now. Right. I'm convinced that obviously there's some biological stuff to sunlight and all that, but I'm convinced that most of the unhappiness that people experience during winter is not biological factors. It's them actually believing and this is all very subtle. I actually can't be that happy until I can be outside playing soccer. I love soccer. I love being outside, but it's not the season for it.
Yeah.
I'm meant to paint inside or whatever,
That's such a good point.
Adjusting to the natural seasons of life rather than trying to force.
Pick and choose what seasons you celebrate life in.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's such a good,
that's a
image.
Metaphor in Buddhism, what we've talked about of not swimming against the current and going with the flow of winter, summer, spring, that's what I've learned to love the seasons, because it actually, if you really integrate that into your life, it actually makes you way more dynamic, and it helps when you need to slow down and when you need to speed up. At least that does for it.
Yeah.
I'm learning this the last couple of years, and it's it's not, one season is not better than the other. I prefer summer.
Yeah.
That's fine. But yeah, one season is not better than the other. It's
They're
just
all good.
different.
They're all meant to be there.
Yeah. Yeah. The tree's not all upset that winter's coming.
No. It
Just
is what
sucks
it
the
is.
water in.
Yeah.
Tightens up.
I just think it's so funny. It's they don't ask themselves every time winter comes, is this going to suck? They just do it. It is what it is.
A submission.
Yes.
Yeah. And no thought. Obviously, trees, I don't think, are inundated.
They're probably
with
not doing not doing a lot of that.
They're just still.
If they could,
Right. Right.
What a great question. all of those really good questions.
Yeah.
And if those answers, I don't know. If there's more, I mean, feel free to ask.
That's it. Those were the bonus ones. Yeah. Okay, my man, I've been saving this topic for you. This has been kind of weighing on me for a few weeks. And I've been waiting. You got injured. Your neck got hurt from
Who knows?
skydiving.
Fought with a bear and saved 3 kids, but
unfortunately, it was like I took a wrong step.
Yeah,
It's never.
I really don't know.
It's always like
it's always the most lame story.
I was getting out of my car.
I really don't know.
I tripped. Yeah, it sucks. So this is it. You mentioned in one of our earlier podcasts, Ernest, how easy it is for people to put on masks. And you also mentioned to me, like, how easy it is for people. Like, I love what you texted me that one time. You said something like, I think people don't realize how much pain is actually down there for them. And they're just carrying this weight around. And you have this spiritual gift to be tapped into the collective suffering of what many people are experiencing. I've noticed this has come as you've gone through your own work. So it's cool to see that. So this is important for us to talk about. What I call this the invisible burden. This is the weight emotionally, spiritually, that we carry with us that is weighing us down and we can't see it. And so why does it matter? Why does it matter to be able, why does this matter? Why does the invisible burden matter? Maybe a better question would be, why is it important for us to see it? Because many people don't want to see it. So we're trying to convince them, like, hey, you might have some weight down there. Why would it be important for you to see that? John?
There's like I feel like there's a whole bunch of reasons why different people might want to do that, or different things they might get from that. And like, if you see that, invisible rucksack full of things that you are carrying around, well, one, you might be able to see better that it isn't as many things as you feared. And you might be able to see the ripple effects of how those are hurting the people around you. And you might be able to see, just by seeing in general, that brings up a lot of like, you can't ever say it wasn't there before. If you see it, you can't ever say you didn't see it. And I think that for me, an accountability aspect of that was like I had to see to be able, so I could never rationalize that I didn't have those things that I was dealing with, that pain.
This is why some clients, when they come in for therapy as a therapist, some clients legit get mad at me, like angry at me. And I welcome this. Because the reason why they're getting mad at me is for such a beautiful reason. It's because once you see it, you can't unsee it.
Yep.
And so it becomes like, okay, somebody comes in because their relationship isn't going very well. And then we start diving deeper as to why. And then they start seeing things from their past or disconnection spiritually that is affecting them or whatever. That's like the work that we do, that I do. Once you see it, you can't unsee it. And then, so once you see it, and then if you try to ignore it again, it gets heavier.
Yep. You immediately feel that.
There's someone I know that has told me, like, Corey, I know there's a lot of stuff down there. I'm never going to look at it because I don't want to see it. I'm like, this is just a friend of mine. So I'm like, I'm not therapist, Corey. I'm like, I totally understand what you're saying. Like, just like, keep me posted, I'm here if you need.
Totally.
Let's be salesmen. Let's be emotional and spiritual salesmen for a second on why it's important. So let's take my friend, for example. Let's say they're like, hey, give me your best sales pitch on why it's important for me to see what's deeper down there, what's potentially deeper down there. We'll talk about like how I can tell if there's an invisible burden. We'll talk about that in just a second, but let's sell this person on why it's so important for you to be willing to look at that. The first thing that comes up for me is, well, go ahead. You were percolating.
Well, you can go about it two ways. The consultative sales pitch, and you ask, what do you want out of this? And then you can go just pure car ad on the TV. Be like, do you want a reduction in, like, do you want less frustration in your life? Do you want to have a higher tolerance for things and people around you? Do you want to feel more joy and less sorrow on a regular basis? Do you want to wake up and have the choice of what you can do with your day instead of it being decided for you? Do you want like confidence in yourself eventually? Do you want to see what you're actually able to do for others, what your real capacity is? Like, it depends on what you want.
That's really good, man. I like the car salesman.
That's how my brain's just like, go, 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 go.
What about this? Let's sell it in a different way.
Okay.
Let's do that and this.
Okay.
So the question is like, why is it important? Why would it be important for you to dive deeper and to discover some dark, negative things down there? Why would that be worth it for you? Because nobody actually wants to do that. It's hard.
Yeah.
Is the only thing you care about in your life is money? Is the only thing you care about in your life looking beautiful physically? If that truly is the truth, those are just a couple examples. Like if the only thing you care about is cars, is the only thing you care about golf,
right,
roller coasters, whatever, is the only thing you care about things or looks or vanity, is that truly the only thing that you care about in your life? If the answer is yes, this isn't for you. If there's any other variety to that, it's like, yeah, I actually do love all those things, but I also want to have a good relationship. Or I love all those things, but I also want to feel at peace in my life and feel alive, truly. Mm-hmm. If that's the case, which it is for most everybody, emotional and spiritual touches everything else other than vanity and money. Period. Mm-hmm. It affects everything except those things, for the better or for the worse. And the other message is this, is just because you don't want to see it, it doesn't mean that it's not still affecting you in your life. That's why it's called the invisible burden.
Yeah.
It's still a burden. You just don't even know what it is.
Yeah. Just because you can't see it doesn't mean it's not being seen.
And this is podcast number 4.
That's crazy.
Yeah. On podcast number 4, Anna told her beautiful story about how she started to become aware of some of the pain that was down there and then what started to happen. Mm-hmm. Her life started falling apart. Mm-hmm. She couldn't walk. Her feet gave out and she was having the runs and all this crazy stuff. Like, who wants that? But so my message is to, I know, person listening, that there's a deeper part of you that knows that it's worth it. That you've heard, if you want to, if that knows that there's something more, that there's more to feel positively, that there's more peace, there's more, your spirit already knows, there's a deeper part of you that already knows. And so, like anything worthwhile, it sucks at the beginning, and it's confusing, and it's dark, and it's sad, and it's lonely. Crucible of fire, forging your soul to become really strong. And to me, after going through it, and I still have, I'm still working on finding my joy and filling up my holes, but it's the most beautiful thing I've ever seen in my life, in other people and in myself. Like, I love it. It is, to me, there's no more important message than the healing that can come from Christ, that can come from nature, that can come from the universe. And like Joseph Campbell says, you really start to feel this support. You choose to start to see it. You're not left alone. You might feel alone, but you are being like held up.
Yeah. I think that, well, we all know, yeah, exactly like you said, it is like a crucible of fire. And something that has been on the forefront of my mind recently is just how beautiful the whole process really is, pain and all. It's the path that we're meant to walk might be painful, but it's blessed. And there's so many things that are meant to bless us. And if we look for them, we'll see those things all around us as we're struggling. I feel that all the time. I struggle, but there are so many good things that come from it. And so many good people and different forms of help that come to you when you've made the decision to try. They'll always be there to help you.
Dude, you're such a beautiful soul, man. You are. If you want the best sales pitch for this, just watch the video on Spotcast or YouTube of Ernest, just the last minute, getting emotional about this, like feeling this. Like, what motivation does this man have to deeply and sincerely feel emotional about this? And what motivation would me and you have to start this podcast and to like try to sell people? It's because we know it's the secret of life. We know it's so worth it. We know it's so worth it. And it's like, there's no other motivation that I have to do this podcast other than this has, like, what are we talking about? Healing, spiritual connection, emotionally letting go. This has changed my life. It's like I used to see in black and white. I didn't even know there was color. I didn't even know, like, oh my gosh. And now, I'm refining myself in many ways, like I mentioned to you before, but yeah. So how can I tell if I have an invisible burden? Like, I don't think I have anything down there. So okay. Just look at, so yeah. How can I tell if I have an invisible burden? I want you to answer that first. I don't want to rush it. What are some, because obviously someone doesn't really know, but what are some maybe signs?
I don't know. I'm trying to think of how I felt a lot. And I felt a lot of confusion. I felt a lot of like lack of purpose, lack of direction, lack of hope. I felt a lot of that. I just felt like, I don't know, like I felt like I couldn't connect very well with people or things that I was doing. It just seemed lackluster. That's just how life seemed. It just, because it was honestly like struggles are still here. I just feel a lot different.
Yeah, it reminds me of the book title and the saying, like, the body keeps the score. When you wake up, how do you feel about your life?
Yeah.
Do you have negative feelings that unexpectedly come up? So if you do have an invisible burden, it is trying to tell you. It wants you to know because it wants to leave your body. Your spirit, this pure part of you is trying to get out that impurity or that evil, you could say. It's not necessarily evil, but in some ways it is, I guess. It's trying to get that out. So it's trying to send you all these signals. Well, what signals does it send? Emotions, negative emotions, and behaviors, and how you respond in relationships. If you're feeling pretty good in your relationship, and then out of nowhere, you have a really strong reaction, anytime your behavior is not congruent, anytime you have a negative behavior that is just not congruent to what's happening live, you have an invisible burden. Example, my girlfriend says I'm not doing a good enough job in the relationship. And I just got so pissed. I threw my keys on the ground, I punched a hole in the wall, and then I left. Was that behavior congruent to what your girlfriend said? No.
Pretty far past.
Okay, so yeah, no, there's no way. I lost control. These are extreme examples, but
Right.
it could be even just be little. It doesn't matter. But do I have any? I think that is the most relatable way to say it, because somebody that has an invisible burden is trying to decide if they dive deep. They don't. There's really not a lot of emotional awareness there, obviously. Yeah. So just look at your behaviors.
Yep.
Is any way I behave stronger than what is happening in a live setting?
Are your reactions matching up to the situations you're in?
That's a way better way to say it. Yeah. Yeah, dude. So please take a look at that. There's another powerful way that you can know that I want to talk about too. Mm-hmm. This has kind of been my journey this last week, is kind of refinding some of my joy, because and so here's what I've learned is, and this will all tie in, is like I kind of mentioned, my own story was getting lost in me sacrificing and just kind of forgetting about it, and getting lost in and forgetting about my own stories through other people, basically. So much of our joy, it ties back to this, what I call this full circle healing, which our joy is mostly contained in who we were when we were 6 and 7 years old. What were we like at that age?
Full of life, love, honest to a fault, maybe.
We
so
were
pure, you know, without guile is a big one. I feel like when I was a kid.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So I just think this, to go back to the question, how can I tell if I have an invisible burden? Well, you look at your behaviors, but also start to remember your story. And I'm rediscovering the importance of this myself. And let's talk about what that looks like, so I don't go too fast. Knowing your story. What is the value of remembering your story? Dane, you've mentioned some good things about this too, just like how these moments in your life when you've been like the most happiest you've been, and when you've been like journaling and writing things down. And so if something comes up for you, man, feel free to chime in.
Well, I'm just curious to know what you mean specifically by like what do you mean by your story? Is that like your overall kind of journey?
Yep. Gotcha. Your whole life.
Gotcha.
The story of your life. So the question is, what is the value of remembering your own story?
It's really kind of hard to change your story without knowing what it was to begin with. I think that in the process of dealing with past pains and things like that, you really need to know what the story is so that you can find what the truths are along that journey. And you're going to be surprised. Like you're surprised by memories you forgot almost.
Oh, yeah.
That come up and bring new perspective or more joy or understanding in ways you didn't realize before. If you never look, you won't see. So
I believe our story is like recorded in heaven or the universe, whatever you believe. I believe our story is recorded in heaven. And if we really need, because people say all the time, like, well, I just have a bad memory. I don't remember my childhood. Well, it's like, no one does. No one does. You have to intentionally understand the value in going back there, and you have to download from the spiritual book memories and moments of your story. And we can get as much of a complete picture as we need with that. Even if there's some physical limitations, it's a spiritual thing, not a brain thing. Okay. And this is what happened for me 2 days ago. I realized one of my good friends basically kind of poignantly said, like, Corey, like, basically like in a loving way, like, shouldn't you have more joy in your life? Like, I know you're happy, but like, where's your joy? You really know all these, like, because he's gone through this healing journey and he's so full of joy and I'm joyful for him, but he's like, where's yours?
How come you're not as happy?
And dude, it just hit me like a ton of bricks. Like, this has been weighing on my mind, forgetting my own story, just starting to remember and participate in the spiritual download of remembering who I was as a boy. And I loved soccer and I loved nature and I loved being outside and I loved all these things. I loved Christmas, all these things. It almost instantly brought it back. Like, cause I was connecting with it and I was like, wow, this is so. Going back to the question, what is the value of knowing and remembering your story? One is you have to do that. So if you start revisiting your story and journaling and remembering your story, pay attention to what pain might come up. Who knows what'll come up? That's what's kind of scary for people. I don't know what's going to come up. Well, whatever is down there is already down there. It's already affecting your life. Like, could it temporarily, like, spike and maybe make your life worse for a little bit? Sure. It's kind of coming out a little bit at that point. It's expressing itself. So the two main values of this are recognizing what I still need to work on, but also for me, I realized that my healing journey and letting go was complete, but the joy that I was experiencing from that, or that I just wasn't putting enough back in it. And remembering my story was a big part of that, of like starting to build back the joy. The other part of that is relatable, I think, for most people is like play. We have to like play.
Yeah.
We have to. What are we doing when we're 6 or 7? It's our most true and pure self. We're playing nonstop. We're always looking for it.
Yeah.
Whatever, any ways I can squeeze that in. Like my daughter, she has to leave for school. I'm like, hey, can you get your shoes on? You gotta leave for school. She's like, yeah, 1 second. And she takes her car and she's like moving her car around. I'm like, hey,
no,
we gotta go
1
now.
second.
Yeah, 1 sec, Dad. Woo! I'm like, this is so cool.
20 seconds of games before I get my shoes on. Yeah. This is perfect.
Yeah. It was cool for me to see. She usually freaks out, and she carries a lot of heavy emotion. She usually freaks out and gives us a hard time in those moments. But there's one moment where it was good to see that. I forgot about that. It came back. But so why I think why is it important to continue to remember your story when you have let go of all your pain? Kind of goes along with what I was just saying. Like, it's a natural part of what goes with remembering your story isn't just getting in touch with who you are, although that's so valuable, like the play and the memories. It's recognizing the source and where the role that the great hand has played in your life. It's pure gratitude.
Exactly. And
a recognition of God or the universe guiding you on these guideposts. I haven't that's the real impact that this podcast has had on me. It's like, whoa, I forgot about that. Yeah, God he totally had my back in that moment. Oh my gosh, like that shouldn't have happened. I should have crumbled in sadness, but like something reached out and it was a light, and my life changed as a result. Like these key moments, there's so many key moments in our life. Dane?
It's funny that you said that. One of the things that I wish I kind of would have said about like what I've gotten from this podcast is I'm lucky that I get to be on every episode and hear multiple accounts of people's stories. And it is truly humbling, because I have had like nothing. I feel like I have nothing but sweet and happy memories. Right. And like, I think a good life is one that's just kind of full of just simple, happy memories that you can reflect on. And I feel really lucky that I get that. That's such a gift. And I hear these stories that are just horrific. Makes me feel gratitude, but then it also makes me look at the strength of our souls and our spirits, that we have the ability, despite those incredible deep challenges and tragedies, that we can overcome those things. So, yeah.
Just wait, Dane. There's an invisible burden waiting for you.
I know.
No, dude, that's so beautiful, man.
Yeah.
What a cool, there's some real truth and authenticity to what you just said. And if you ever feel like, I've known you for 15 years, man, is there behaviors that I've noticed in you that are like red flags? I'm like, there's definitely some pain down there that Dane needs to look at. Honestly, man, no, there isn't. There hasn't been. I mean, I think there's some tweaks that you have been wanting to make, like maybe to focus more, or to, be more intentional, things like that. Some of that could come from an invisible, a tiny, tiny invisible burden.
Yeah.
But some of that can just be, the things that all of us are working on, which is being intentional and having a spiritual focus and all that stuff.
Recentering and whatnot.
Yeah. So I what a cool, It reminds me of what people talk about when they have, a psychedelic experience at times. Like, I don't know what's going to come up down there. And so it's really risky. So there could be these invisible burdens that come up, or it can be a revealer of all the good, like basically where you're at, This isn't the psychedelic journey or experience isn't for everybody. It's definitely seemed to play an important role in some people's journey, for sure. There's no doubt about it. So what we've been incorporating enough so far is some practical application.
Mm-hmm.
Let's just touch on that for a second.
Okay.
So how do I do this? How do I remember? How can I actually practically do this? There's two key things, I believe. The first is 2 questions. What were some of the good qualities that made up who I was as a child?
Mm-hmm.
Starting to engage in some reflection from that spiritual book up high. Like, who was I? What was I doing? And then what are some earlier memories that I have about my childhood? And start from there. Start from the earlier stuff and start writing that stuff down. That's a really good place to start, from a place of wholeness.
Mm-hmm.
And usually if there is invisible burdens, they start popping up, 9, 10, 11, 12 teenagers for sure.
Mm-hmm.
But that's such a good place to start. Do like a journal entry on your phone, and then put it into ChatGPT, and then put in this prompt: break down and analyze this journal entry when I was a boy or girl, highlighting deep and important life principles. Break down and analyze this journal entry when I was younger, highlighting the important life lessons. It was powerful when I did that. I'll share one thing that is just, so I kind of shared this funny story with you before of loving Christmas. And I loved the whole experience so much that I wouldn't shower. Right. And I already told you this beforehand. But I was so stoked. I was so stoked, and I would take deodorant and put it all over my body because I'd start to smell so bad. And just like remembering this experience and then putting into ChatGPT, what it fed me back was like so pure and cool. It said something like, what a beauty it is to feel alive, and the aliveness that you felt when you were a child. And it prompted me to be like, do I feel that way now? And it's like, I know I can feel that way. I know I have felt that way. It's already happening. I'm already feeling more joyful than I did 4 days ago. And I can't wait for that. Because I should feel so much joy in my life. So some people should, some people shouldn't. If you have, again, it goes back to the whole, if you have pain to let go of, you can still feel joy in the room that is there, but the more you clear out, the more potential joy you can feel. And so, yeah. Any other final thoughts, man, on remembering?
No, I think that's exactly the way that you suggested is exactly how I did it too. I started just listing qualities and memories as early as I could, and then on. Just go
from there.
And you're exactly right. They will pop. For me, they just popped up, most of those things, like back to back to back on their own, like as if they were like, I don't know, like jukebox records just ready to go. As I was thinking through it, they would just boom, like clear as day. Here's what happened. Here's how you felt about that, or how you didn't, or whatever. But those things came up for me naturally as I was doing it. And I think that inspiration comes on the go a lot more often than in a stagnant place. As you're doing something, inspiration will come easier to you.
I want to finish the topic with this. Why is it that some people are so much more drawn to the ocean, or so much more drawn to trees, or so much more drawn to soccer, or so much more drawn to basketball or music? You know, we have these built-in draws, things that draw us, things that make us feel alive. One of the most alive I've ever felt is one day me and all the homies from my groups went to Huntington Beach for 4th of July, and we played soccer on the beach all day long, dude, all day. And we'd go grab a food, come back, jump in the ocean, dude, laughs, just like time stood still. And I'm looking back, it wasn't, there's so many reasons why there's some things that make us feel more alive. So to go back to the question, part of this goes back to the purity in which we were when we were a child. All of those things I love to do in my pure state. It's something, there's something spiritual about it.
Yeah.
And so I'm hitting on who I am, not just my interests, but who I am on a deeper level. Nature, soccer, you know, these things are not just interests. They run pretty deep in us, in our purity as a child. And so another benefit of going back and remembering is, what are those things? What was, just kind of like the question, what was I doing? What was I? Oh, I was going into the field and I was looking for bugs. Okay. Yeah. What's comparable or maybe similar to that? Okay. I'm going to go in nature and look for, I don't know, rock. I don't know. There's something that translates as an adult.
Yeah.
And that is going to help you feel alive. It's not just about being still. That is the core element of it, I believe, obviously. But the activities, the intentional activities that you participate in actually do matter. Dane, in his childhood, he grew up surfing. I believe that's something deep in his soul from his like programming.
The water. You know, and
if me and him went surfing, he'd be like, this is the most amazing thing ever. And I'd be like, dude, where's a soccer ball? Like, get me a book or so. Like, I just want to chill. I want to swim. I'll swim. You want to swim? So it's cool that we're just all programmed a little different that way.
You know, what's interesting though, Corey, is my wife made fun of me the other day, just jokingly, that I like constantly am talking about how beautiful the mountains are here. I'm just always noticing them. Like anytime we're outside or on a drive, or anytime I talk about my parents and where they live next to, you know, the Payson Canyon mountains. They can see north towards Timpanogos. Every room has a view of the mountains. But that came over time. It's just interesting that those things can kind of develop and change as well.
Yeah.
I've never felt more drawn to these mountains. I don't know what it is about like this time in my life, or what it is about that I'm just so drawn to their majesty, like, and just their beauty. It just kind of blows me away at what we have here in Utah, to the point where I've kind of had the same reaction of like leaving Utah that I did when I was little about leaving California. Like, there's no way I could leave California, leave the ocean, leave surfing. There's just no way I would be happy. And I like almost have that same reaction. Like, I can't live without these mountains. So it's just interesting that like we can kind of change. I don't know if that speaks to stillness or whatnot, but like just noticing and paying attention.
Yeah, that's really powerful and interesting, because I mean, I think it is an evolution, like you said, obviously. And I think there's something in everyone that is connected to a part of our spirit or soul that is connected to nature. It's the mother of us. You know, if we're not, you know, it's the mother. And then, you know, whatever you believe in spiritually is the, you know, God, or those are our spirit parents. So everyone is going to be in some way, that's going to be alive. There's going to be an aliveness to that for them, you know. So.
If you have benefited from this podcast in any way, it would mean the world to us to have you subscribe, to allow us to keep it going and bring on inspirational human beings.